Hello and welcome to the OSD demo of the authoring module. In this demo, we will cover how to create and manage normative references in the draft. This demo is relevant for authors and leaders that can add content to a draft in the preparatory and committee draft stages. Authors can add three types of normative references in a draft: ISO/IEC Sense Analytic standards from the existing catalog, any other standard not in the above catalog, or any other type of reference. The normative references are formatted in the draft as per our editorial rules that are built into the platform. The normative references in the draft are also automatically entered in the normative references clause. To insert a normative reference, first go to the clause or subclause in your draft where you want to insert this reference. Place your cursor in the right place, enter a text if required, and then go to the reference menu and click on Link to Reference drop-down. Then click on Normative Reference. You can select from an existing list of normative references in the same draft, or you can click on the Add New button to select a new one. Here, if you're selecting a new one, you have the option to browse through ISO/IEC Sense Analytic catalog of standards or enter a different standard of the type Other Standard, where you would need to enter the number, make it dated or undated, enter its title, or you can enter a reference of any other type. Here you would need to enter the title and the label of the reference. In the first case, we will choose to browse through a standard from the ISO/IEC Sense Analytic catalog. We can filter by the organization. Here we select ISO and then search by keywords. First, we are looking for the standard ISO 9001:2015. Once we found the standard, we click on it and then click on the Select button. We see that the number of the standard is derived from the catalog and the date as well. We can choose to make it undated or dated. The title and the label are also derived from the catalog. Then click on the Insert button. The normative reference is added in the draft as per the editorial rules accepted by ISO/IEC. Then we go to the normative references clause, which is the clause 2 in the draft. This clause cannot be directly edited, but the reference list here is automatically populated based on the normative references in your draft. In the next example, we will again enter a reference, but in this case, we will select from the existing list of normative references. So again, the ISO 9001:2015. Then we will enter another normative reference. In this case, we will again choose to add a new one by browsing through the catalog of standards, and we will select a reference ISO 23537. We will choose to make this one undated and then click on the Insert button. You will notice that the format of the normative reference in this case is a little different because it's an undated one. We go back to the normative references clause and notice that the reference list has been automatically populated with the update of this new normative reference. The ISO 9001:2015 standard is referred to in the list only once. In the next example, we will enter a normative reference of type Other Standard. So again, from the reference menu, go to Link to Reference, Normative Reference, click on Add New, and then enter Other Standard. Enter the number of the standard. In this case, we choose to make it undated. Type the title, and the label is automatically populated. Then click on the Insert button. In the last and final example, we will enter a normative reference of type Other. Here, we type the title of the reference and also its label, and then click on the Insert button. Go back to the normative references and notice that both these normative references are now listed here. Normative references that originate from ISO/IC Sense and Select Standards catalog cannot be edited, but they can be replaced and also removed. Normative references of type Other Standard and Other can be edited, replaced, and removed as well. To modify a normative reference, go to the Clause 2 Normative References in the draft. You will notice that the edit icon is disabled for references that originate from the ISO/IC Sense and Select catalog of standards. These references cannot be edited. They can, however, be replaced. To replace them, go to the reference within the draft and click on the breadcrumb at the bottom, and then click on the Replace button. Then select a new reference to replace this one. In this case, we are browsing through the catalog of ISO/IC Sense and Select standards again, and then selecting a new one and clicking on the Replace button. The reference has been modified in the draft. Go back to the normative reference clause and ensure that the reference list has been updated as well. Next, we are going to try and modify a normative reference of type Other Standard. In this case, we click on the Edit icon and modify the title of the standard. No other attributes can be modified. Then we click on the Save button. Similarly, to modify a normative reference of type Other, you click on the Edit icon next to the reference in the reference list, modify its title, and click on the Save button. Notice that it has been updated accordingly. To delete a normative reference, simply click on the Delete icon next to the reference in the reference list. If it is not linked to any other reference in the draft, it will be automatically deleted without a warning. In case there are links to the normative reference still existing in the draft, a warning will be displayed. In this case, you can choose to click on the Continue button and then review the reference that has been listed. You can choose to also replace it from here or click on the Delete button. In this case, we choose to click on the Show in Editor hyperlink to go to the actual place within the draft where it is referred, and we decide that this is not the reference that we want to delete. Instead, we choose to delete a different reference. Again, there are links to the reference in the draft, so a warning is displayed and we click on the Continue button. Now we review the reference that has been mentioned multiple times within the draft, and we choose each of the places from where we want to delete the reference. We click on the reference and then click on the delete button. And then we click on the close button. Go back to the clause where the reference had been mentioned and ensure that it has truly been deleted from there. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you have any questions, you can write to us at helpdesk@iso.org.